All right, here we are. PGL Open Bucharest closed qualifiers for the South American region. We've got Midas Club up against SG Esports, two Brazilian teams. And we're right on into this draft as we take a look. Midas Club, they've banned out Necro and Nature's Prophet picking up that Lich. And for SG Esports, they banned out the Bloodseeker and the Batrider picking up Nightstalker. I'm your caster B-Cop, joined here today by Franz. What do you think about this draft so far? Or do you know anything specifically about these teams that they might be looking to pick up?
Unfortunately, I don't know too much about these teams, but these picks seem pretty solid for this meta so far. You've got the Lich, you know, gotta have your mana, pretty solid first pick, doesn't really give out a lot of information about your draft, and he pretty much dual lanes in any lane on the map. Nightstalker and Darkseer, both of these heroes are actually quite good in team fights, and they're also quite good in the early game. So Nightstalker, really tanky in the early game. You can stack some Iron Shells on him, do a lot of damage to some lanes, but also Nightstalker helps you get a lot of vision control in team fights in the mid and late game. He's really annoying to play against. And, you know, Darkseer, also really good in team fights. Faceless Void, I think probably. Actually, I'm not too. Sorry, I just got back in the game. But yeah, so Faceless Void is also a pretty solid pick. Synergizes really well with Chain Frost. Yeah. And I think he's also really difficult to kill when he has Frost Armor on him, which makes him even better.
Yeah, you get that early boost in armor from that Lich, and that is very beneficial in the early laning stages, especially, you know, for someone like Void. With Nightstalker, Darkseer, you know, they've already got the Nightstalker, so they're probably not looking Spirit Breaker. Is there a position 5 support that works well with these two heroes already? Someone who can roam really well with Nightstalker?
Yeah, there's a couple options. There's like Rubik. I think when you pick Nightstalker, you want the position 5 hero that can help win your safe lane, because your Nightstalker is actually not the best roaming hero for the first couple of minutes. Like, he wants to get EXP in a lane most of the time, or like do as much harassment with his nuke as possible. So you want a position 5 hero that can help win the lane, especially when you have a Lich on the other team that's going to be potentially pressuring one of your lanes really hard. So you want a position 5 hero that can at least help out during the daytime.
10 seconds.
And then during the nighttime, you know, have good enough damage output to help make ganks happen.
So could we see someone like a Rubik come out for this SG Esports team? Someone who can roam around, has that telekinesis, Fade Bolt for that little extra damage?
It's hard to say. They might also consider a hero that has a save mechanic against the Chronosphere, such as Shadow Demon and Oracle or Dazzle. Just to have that option, because there's usually two ways to fight against the Faceless Void. Either you have something that helps you against the Chronosphere, or you have something that helps you deal with the Faceless Void before or during the Chronosphere. I've seen a lot of teams play Batrider with Nightstalker, but that might not be an option since they already have a Darkseer as an offlaner.
It's also banned out by SG Esports.
Yeah.
But they banned out the Sven, banned out the Ember Spirit on Midas Club, Nyx, Venomancer. Nyx would have been a really good choice, I feel like, even with that Nightstalker, but Nyx one of those heroes that really just lines up the information, goes in with Vendetta, and now we see that SG Esports, they've gone with the Disruptor. So a bit of catch with Glimpse, as well as the Kinetic Field, pull them back towards the Nightstalker. They've got a lot of chase already with these two heroes.
Yep, and that's certainly one hero that helps you deal with the Faceless Void before he gets to cast the spells. And it's generally good in lane against the Faceless Void. If the Void's being laned against his Disruptor, you can glimpse him after a time walk.
Yeah, it makes Void really careful with that time walk, where if he already uses it, gets glimpsed back, he's usually almost always dead in the early game.
It also makes their lineups very blue/purple.
Yeah, both lineups setting up with the blue, purple, red family right now, and I kind of like the Darkseer as well. You've got the Ion Shell with Night Stalker who could chase down a bunch of these heroes. It's that extra damage output for the early game, especially in that first night.
Yep. Kunkka's a pretty interesting pick this game. His X works really well against the Night Stalker and Darkseer, who are high movement speed heroes, so you have that extra bit of catch for them. But also, there's a lot of synergy with Chronosphere. You have the Torrent Ghost Ship, you have the Chain Frost for the Chronosphere, so there's a lot of magic damage that can be outputted by Midas Club right now.
And they still seem to need a mid and possibly an off laner. I think Void might be going in the safe lane. And they could set up the Chronosphere even more with 2 more heroes that work well with it. Is there anybody in particular that you see? Or are we looking at possibly, you know, an off lane Void and go safe lane with like a Clinks? Someone who can hit into the Chronosphere?
Clinks would have been an option, but I'm not sure if Clinks is the best hero against Lone Druid. I don't know what it is about Clinks versus Lone Druid, but I'm not sure if it works out all the time. In theory, Clinks would be okay because he gets to close the gap and he has enough health to tank the Lone Druid. But I think what Midas Club needs is a natural BKB buyer, because definitely need a BKB this game, and something that helps hit in the Chronosphere. I've seen Clinks as being played this patch, but for some reason it doesn't feel right. Oh, I guess Midas Club's going for it.
I'll pat myself on the back. I knew my boy Clinks would get picked up in this draft, despite
that was
the
a good call.
I had no backup knowledge. If you had asked me why, I would have had nothing for you, though, so thank you for not doing that to me. But now with Clinks, Kunkka, Void, and Lich, they're looking at a... You think Clinks could still go mid. That doesn't force Void out of the safe lane, right?
No, it doesn't. It could be an offlane Void, though. You could, like, offlane the Void and the Lich, and it would probably work really well.
So they ban out the Dragon Knight, so I think they'll... SG Esports are thinking that maybe Clinks is going safe lane, Void in the off lane, and they're looking for a mid. But I kind of like this, where teams, they keep, you know, they pick these heroes where the draft and positioning is really up in the air for, it seems like the entirety of the draft. You really still don't know where Void could go. Clinks could go in a multitude of places. At least keeps the other team guessing, which is very beneficial, I feel like.
It gives you an advantage going into the laning phase, because if generally if a team has to do reshuffling of the lanes just to like break even or have an advantage, then it kind of reduces the amount of EXP and gold they get for the early game, especially when you have to buy TPs and sort out the lane switches.
So Midas Club, they have the last ban. SG Esports, Night Stalker, Darkseer, Disruptor, Lone Druid. Is there something that you could see that maybe Midas Club doesn't see in their last pick that SG Esports is going to go for?
Not at the moment. I think SG Esports is going for... Whenever you play a Lone Druid, he has a very specific type of gameplay. He wants a really good early game so he can get his items, because this hero really doesn't farm. Like, he doesn't scale with levels. He pretty much just scales with items, so he needs as much farm as possible to accelerate his farm and to be able to actually help his team take towers, which I think is his strength. And so SG Esports probably wants another core hero on their team that makes a lot of space for the Lone Druid, or at least like helps the Lone Druid grab objectives.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Ban out that puck for Midas Club, and they pick up the Mirana. So they ended out with Mirana, Clinks, Kunkka, Void, and Lich. So it looks like it should be a mid Mirana, safe lane Clinks, off lane Void.
Looks like Midas Club is really playing around the Chronosphere and the X combo right now.
Yeah.
Because you can also arrow into the X torrent combo, which is kind of cool.
And then Lena picked up for SG Esports.
Yep.
So, Lena, Lone Druid, Disruptor, Darkseer, Nightstalker, SG Esports up against Midas Club Elite, Lich, Void, Kunkka, Clinks, Marana. Which draft do you think looks better coming into the beginning of this game?
I think Midas Club's draft looks a ton better. SG Esports has 0 stuns in their lineup right now, which might be a problem if they don't win the early game, because I have a feeling they're going to have a lot of trouble looking for pickoffs on the map. For now, I think it could go either way. I haven't seen a Lone Druid game in a while, so we'll see. Generally, people I've spoken to think that Lone Druid's not the best hero this patch, just because he's so reliant on having a good early game. Like we've never almost seen a Lone Druid come back from a deficit.
Mm-hmm. You think this is going to be a normal Lone Druid build, or could we see, sometimes I've seen Bear, Mask of Madness, if they're looking for a heavy push lineup with the Lena?
It's hard to say. I think generally the right-click build seems to be the way to go on Lone Druid, but there's a lot of benefits of focusing on the Bear this game, since the enemy team doesn't want to blow a Chronosphere on a Bear, so you could use that to your advantage since you get 2 of those in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
It also feels to me like potentially the Bear is just gonna get X torrented, arrowed, and then killed instantly in after the mid game.
All right. So right on into this game. Let's take a look at who is on what, as we do get a couple disconnects coming out. And they're not using official team names, so I don't know if they're on their official names either. But you've got SS on the Void. Up on this Marana is Tala. Coming here with the Lich is RZS. Down low with the Clinks is going to be Arms. And then finally on the Kunkka is Dashka. For the other side, take a look. It's Vittoria on the Disruptor. Nightstalker played by Licht. Darkseer is XD. Yeah, these definitely aren't the real names. Firewalk with me on the Lone Druid. And then Anger on the Lena.
It's kind of cool that Darkseer didn't start with a Stout Shield. He opted for as much regen as possible. He's probably going to get the Stout Shield from the side shop, which is kind of cool. I think he's trying to get as much sustain in this lane. I don't think he's expecting to go against the tri lane, especially against the Lich. He probably wants to stay in the lane as long as possible. Alright, should be going soon.
Yeah, looks like we're ready to go. And
TP'd mid with both wards. He's smoking in.
Deep Void there mid. See what he does with this other one. So they've got this Nightstalker and Disruptor. Is Disruptor going to be, is he needed in that safe lane with the Lone Druid, or can he go around come first night with that Nightstalker?
He can go around. I think generally Disruptors want to hit at least level 2 or 3 before they start moving around, but if he feels like one of his lanes is going to get pressured really hard, then he can go and dish out some harassment. One of the weaknesses of Disruptor is that he doesn't actually have high kill potential until level 2 or 3 with Glimpse and or Kinetic Field. And so one concern is whether or not you get the levels on that hero early in the game.
Actually take a look over bottom. Both the Night Stalker and the Darkseer here with Clinks and Kunkka nearby, looking to just snag this bounty rune and they'll push away the Clinks, but still a lot of damage eaten by the Night Stalker. Doesn't really mind too much. He will take that bounty rune and ends up being 3 for 1 in favor of SG Esports. So it is Midas Club on the Radiant side, SG Esports on the Dire side, since the names aren't showing up top.
Lich denied the range creep top, which is going to hurt the Lone Druid a lot, I think. I don't think the Lone Druid can normally harass this Faceless Void out of the lane, so the Faceless Void is going to have a good game. Same goes with the bottom lane, I think. I think this Darkseer and Night Stalker, I feel like they're going to get a lot.
Yeah, Clinks, I feel like just the harassment that's going to come out from the Darkseer and the Night Stalker is going to be overwhelming for him. You think they switch it up where they throw maybe the Void down here? Can they even swap the lanes like that?
I think they just have to get what they can. Because the Void's also going to have a nice time top. This Lich denying the range creeps top pretty much guarantees that the Void's going to get level 6 at a good timing, since all the creeps are going to push into his tower.
And they're continuing going on this Clinks. Torrent is going to hit the Night Stalker, keeps Clinks alive. Forced to use that salve, and was getting pretty
definitely feels like Radiant should be doing something differently in this lane. They've expended a lot of their regen. They have to be careful of taking damage on the Clinks now.
Yeah, they could get, a surge coming in from the Darkseer, Ion Shell, and then that could be on the Night Stalker, chase down the Clinks. You could be in a lot of trouble early on.
Yep. Mid lane looks pretty even so far.
9-6 for the Lina, 7-1 for the Mirana. And I'd expect, come first night, Mirana might be in a little bit of trouble, especially with how well Night Stalker and Darkseer are doing down over bottom.
Yep. It's definitely a lot of scare factor since the Night Stalker's having sort of a good couple first minutes.
For this
Darkseer's pretty much set up in this lane now. He's got a Soul Ring, he's got level 3, so Night Stalker can pretty much go anywhere now, and this Darkseer will be fine in the bottom lane.
It looks like he's already made his way over mid. He's a level 2. And it definitely seems like Lina could have the possibility of getting a couple kills over mid, especially if you line up that Glimpse and the Light Strike Ray.
Yep.
Night Stalker coming over bottom again. Just going to spot this Kunkka. Still waiting for that first night. He's got another minute to go, and with that minute, do you see that maybe Midas Club does something here? And as I say that, they are looking over at this Night Stalker. A couple good body blocks coming out from the Kunkka. They're going to continue to try and chase this Night Stalker, but with the Surge, we'll be able to get out of the range of that Clinks as well as the Kunkka and stay alive.
Ooh, that silence, it saved them.
He is going to be able to salve up, get himself close to full. Looks pretty good not giving up the first blood down to this Clinks.
It pretty much feels impossible for Lone Druid and Disruptor to kill this Faceless Void, especially with Frost Armor on him. They're definitely going to need a rotation from the Night Stalker at some point. Meanwhile, at bottom
Looking pretty interesting. They're trying to get the Kunkka out. Just gets out, getting harassed by both the Darkseer and the Night Stalker with Ion Shell and hitting away at him. Just able to TP out. Still no first blood 3 minutes, just about 4 minutes in. And now we're going to get into this first night where I think that SG Esports are going to be showing up pretty hard.
Yep, this Lina is starting to win the mid lane pretty hard.
Now double damage picked up for this Night Stalker, so going to keep an eye on him.
I think this Mirana's probably gotta be really scared right now. Like, the Night Stalker's missing off the map. There's no vision on the right side of the map for Radiant as far as I can tell, and this Lina's about to hit level 6. So
yeah, the Night Stalker is going to come all the way around. You do have Leap, but at night, how much does that really help you if you're running away from a Night Stalker with double damage?
Meanwhile, at top, the Disruptor's giving this Lone Druid as much EXP as possible, so he is keeping up on levels with the Void. Unfortunately, the Disruptor's level 2 and the Lich is level 3.5, so really seeing the effects of the Lich factor here.
Surprisingly enough, Night Stalker doesn't really do anything with that double damage. He was setting up near that shrine over bottom, looking towards mid. Never really made a committed move over mid with the Lina, and I thought maybe he would, especially with the silence and possibly a Light Strike array to follow it up. But they've got the X now on the Night Stalker. They're going to bring him back to the Clinks and the Lich, but it's nighttime, so he can fly around. Does end up in the low ground, avoiding that torrent. There's the Surge, and is going to be able to retreat successfully.
Did the Kunkka not have Torn, or did he forget to cast it?
He casted it a bit too far forward.
Okay.
I don't think he expected him to be on the low ground after Hunter in the Night.
Right. No, his Void's pretty much set up top lane.
And now he's looking to come over mid, but you've got the Lich here. They're going to look over. There's the leap out from the Mirana, and that seems to be it. And, you know, you're coming into the last 2 minutes of nighttime, and he hasn't really taken full advantage yet. He almost actually dies earlier.
But he is wasting time from the Radiant. Like, his Darkseer's getting a ton out of this lane, and this mid tower is about to take a lot of damage since there's a siege creep here and a full creep wave.
So now he's invis. This might be the moment they're looking for to make a move. They rotate the Disruptor over. So they're looking for that chase. He is level 3, has 2 in Glimpse, but none in Kinetic Field.
And they have a dust on the Night Stalker.
Yeah, so they're going to find this Clinks. He's immediately dusted up. Thunderstrike should be first blood, will be. And Victoria does get the first blood. Also glimpses back the Kunkka. He's got ulti thrown in from Mirana, should be able to survive. But that's first blood going the way of SG Esports. And they end up using the first Night for something.
Yep, and they're going to get this stack in the bottom lane too, which is pretty big.
Take a look over mid. Laguna Blade comes out from the Lina, but now she is very susceptible to dying here over mid. I think the stun hits out on that Clinks. The body blocks coming in from the Lich, trying to at least set up the last hit for the Clinks. And looking for one more, and they don't want the Lina to get away, so Lich will just take that kill.
Yep. But the Clinks did TP bottom, and I believe the Kunkka also ran away from bottom lane, so Dire might actually get this bottom Radiant tier 1 here.
Half health and nobody coming over just yet.
Yep. They're even bringing the Lone Druid to help take it.
Night Stalker's got to be careful. Daytime's about to happen in 3 seconds. There's Hunter in the Night, but they've got X marks the spot. Should be able to line up that torrent, and actually Clinks is nowhere to be found near this fight. He's over bottom looking to get this Disruptor. They'll get one more shot in on him, get the kill. And they actually keep the Night Stalker away with the Kunkka, and now that it's daytime, he's not as strong. So Clinks takes advantage of that and goes after the Disruptor.
Oh. And Dire's pretty much leading on net worth right now. They're about 3k ahead.
Top 3 are all Dire heroes.
Yeah. Oh.
Radiant are going to smoke up. They've got the Void here with Chronosphere available. Lich is level 4. You've got level 4 on the Kunkka. They're looking to take a big fight here. They know they're down. Let's see if they can kill off a couple of these heroes as they head towards the top area of this Dire jungle.
Yeah, I think SG Esports are pretty much hiding off the map. I think they feel like the skank is coming. In fact, they scan it out.
Scan. See if this helps them. They've got Lina moving back. That was a perfect scan. Wow.
Yep. Pretty much 3 of the Radiant heroes were missing for a very long time, so it was very suspicious.
10 minutes into this game, 2,000 net worth lead for SG Esports. And
I think Midas aren't out of it. Yeah, and this Lone Druid might go down here.
yeah, over towards mid, tries to survive with that Fairy Fire, but Arms is here with those Searing Arrows, and Get themselves a pretty big kill on that lone druid over mid.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Yep.
attack.
Midas aren't out of it yet. They have to look for some pretty key pickoffs in the next couple of minutes, and I think they'll be able to get an advantage back.
And double damage is found up top for the Mirana. Going to throw that inner bottle. So maybe they start to look for another smoke play. Could look for another move with Moonlight Shadow up. I think Midas Club are hitting a pretty good spot here, especially with the opportunity to get a couple of kills in the next coming minutes.
Midas Club can't be too passive in the next little while because I think the Lena's going to outfarm their heroes, and so when you have a hero like Mirana and Clinks that don't normally like farm huge waves quickly, you have to go for as many pickoffs as possible to help slow down the item progression from the enemy team.
And they, you know, Midas Club do have quite a bit to throw the way towards the Dire of SG Esports. They're about to have level 6 on the Lich. You take a look at the Kunkka. He's far from Ghost Ship, but Chainfrost Chronosphere would be enough to get a couple of these heroes if they catch 2 or 3 in the Chronosphere.
Yep. Got another smoke coming out.
Yeah, they do smoke up. They might run right into this Night Stalker who's coming through the river. There it is. They're going to spot him out. X marks the spot with the Torrent. Arrow's going to strike as well, and that should be an easy kill there for Midas Club. And it will be. Now 4-1, but still down 1,000 net worth.
No, perhaps not the kill they're looking for. I think they wanted to help take this mid tower with his siege creep here.
Dire's middle tower is under pressure.
Lena forced to back up. They should be able to take this mid tower to continue pushing, but it looks like
Middle tower is under attack.
they're going to TP 2 of these heroes over the bottom.
Yep, this Clinks was getting gone on from the Lone Druid on the Darkseer here. There's a sentry in the lane.
Take a look.
Don't think Midas Club will catch anyone here.
Mirana going to spot the Lone Druid. Coming over is the Lich. Barry's going to root him. You've got Clinks coming in from the side, but won't find anything just yet. They are now under the nose of the Lone Druid with the Clinks. Lich is going to be stopped with that glimpse. Silenced up by the Night Stalker. Lich is going to try and run himself away. They don't have glimpse anymore, but Night Stalker will chase him down. Hunter in the Night with the Void, but that leaves the Lone Druid wide open of being killed by this Clink, so they'll take a 1-for-1.
This Clinks is ahead of the Lone Druid now.
You know, Lone Druid falling behind it, the 3 cores of Midas Club, so you know, you were talking about how Lone Druid does need a pretty good start. He's been stymied this far.
Yep, it's still okay though, because his Lena and his Darkseer are doing well. So as long as his team as a whole can go for objectives at some point in the game, I think he's happy. I think the strength of the hero is just fighting around your team and doing as much damage as possible.
Got the Night
There's a smoke up top.
Disruptor over top, looking for the Mirana, and they're going to try and use that Static Storm. Not going to hit, but vacuum right back into it. The boat comes through, not in time. And they will be able to take out this Mirana, but Chronosphere is going to follow it up. They've got the X to bring back this Night Stalker. They'll take one in the Disruptor. They're going to continue to look for the Night Stalker, but they won't get him as the Laguna Blade hits this Clinks and wipes him off the face of the map. So now you've got Faceless Void coming in, looking to get a kill on this Night Stalker. He time walks out. And Lich and Kunkka are here as well, but they're looking like they're just going to try and retreat.
That felt like a pretty optimistic Chronosphere. The Clinks didn't have his death packed up, and really Midas Club didn't have any vision of the Lena or any of the other enemy heroes after the first initiation, so definitely it feels like if Void's gonna Chronosphere someone, it has to be either the Darkseer or one of the enemy core heroes, Darkseer, Lone Druid, or Lena.
Radiant's middle tower can't handle this deluge.
So So 6-4 in favor of Midas Club, but they're down 3,000 net worth. You take a look, and ooh, actually Clinks runs right into the Lena. Not a lot of mana on her either. It should be an easy kill, especially with that Light Strike Array already used. They'll start throwing these Searing Arrows her way, and down she'll go. Now you take a look over at the Darkseer, spotting the Lich. Clinks might look for more.
Yep. Also the Darkseer. I think they can make this happen. They're starting to pull the Kunkka closer. I think this Darkseer is not going to be in position.
And there it is. X marks the spot, coming in with the boat. Vacuum really not going to stop this. And they'll get another kill. And just a moment ago, they were down 3,000 net worth. They cut it away with 2 easy kills. And they're going to take this top tier 1 as well. So they might just pull this game back to even just like that.
Yep, they might even get mid tower.
Take a look. Disruptor and the Night Stalker are setting up. The leap's going to be there. They're going to try and get the glimpse, but the Moonlight Shadow should stop that. They've got a Sentry Ward down. That'll be a glimpse back into the Static Storm. Chainfrost comes out to try and deter this team from going in. It's going to bounce all the way to the Night Stalker, but not doing enough damage just yet. Mirana's going to still continue to try and get out. Moonlight Shadow's still there, but the Sentry Ward over mid. Void hits. Mirana's still alive, and the Laguna Blade will end up hitting the Lich and killing him off. You take a look, Night Stalker still trying to run away from the Kunkka and the Mirana. They'll get that kill, as well as the one on the Disruptor from the Clinks hitting into the Chronosphere, and now it ends up being a 2-for-1.
It's definitely a good pickoff attempt from the Dire, but they didn't have any of their damaging heroes in the fight, so it felt like they were just chasing, and eventually Midas Club responded with all of their heroes.
They've even up the net worth, and you take a look at Lone Druid, he's doing alright. Is this enough to really be good enough for SG Esports? This Radiant seems like it's going to be a bit slow.
Yeah, it's weird too, right? Because he went for a Midas build, and he got picked off a couple times, and he's even going for the Radiant. So the Radiant's timing is definitely not going to be what he wants it to be, and you know, one concern is when you do go Radiance, is he going to be able to do enough damage to the Clinks? Because if this Clinks gets strong enough, all he has to do is hit the bear for a couple seconds, and then the bear's almost dead.
And he's already got that Solar Crest, so he's going to be able to shred a bunch of these heroes. You take a look, Lone Druid might be in a little bit of trouble. He's over by this top tier 1 with the Darkseer. They've got the Boat, Torrent, and the X coming in. That should be at least 1 with the Solar Crest. Chainfrost is going to be used, and that last Searing Arrow will end up getting
and bottom.
Take a look over bottom. They've got Kinetic Field as well as the Light Strike Array, Laguna Blade to clean up the Faceless Void. So 1-for-1 trade in offlaners for both teams.
Yep, and that's the Bloodstone for the Lena. Not a bad timing considering she also went Phase Boots.
Lena still needs to watch out though with that Solar Crest out on the Clinks.
Yeah,
still shred the Lena.
Definitely need an armor item from the Dire team. I think they have Greaves coming up at some point, but this Clinks is pretty much going to have free kills on everyone until they have a couple of saves like 4 staffs or Greaves.
Yeah, it looks like the Darkseer is going Yules and not straight into Greaves.
Yep.
We'll push this top tier 2, just the Darkseer trying to defend it. Meanwhile, over bottom, Lone Druid will make his way to get push on this tier 2, which is actually almost close to going down itself. But with a couple of heroes here up top for Midas Club, they should be able to take this tower, and no defense coming out from SG Esports whatsoever.
Midas Club also have vision of the Night Stalker and the Lena right now, so they can decide if they want to set up bottom or go for another kill top. Looks like the Clinks is scouting out, looking for a creep to take.
They will take that tower. Clinks is right here next to the Lone Druid. This is definitely not something that SG Esports would want to happen, especially not having that Sacred Relic just yet.
No. Midas Club not really in position though. The Faceless Void's TP is on cooldown and he's in the bottom of the map, so I think Midas Club will just relax for a bit. SG Esports look like they want to go for a smoke.
Yeah, they're setting up over by this shrine. We'll probably clear up these ancients before they go for it.
Oh. It might be a bit slow though, because they've been missing on the map for a while, and whenever you're missing on the map for a while, the enemy team kind of suspects that you're going for a smoke. In fact, there's a ward from Midas Club, so they have vision of almost all 5 heroes right now.
Midas Club goes for a smoke of their own. They also have Moonlight Shadow to back that up if they do go for it.
This could work out perfectly in their favor.
There it is. There's the Moonlight Shadow. They're going to start heading to the high ground. They have 3 heroes nearby for a good Chronosphere if they can land it. The arrow's going to be thrown forward. This puts them grouped up very much together. There's the X already coming out on the Night Stalker. It's followed up by the boat. Stack Storm's not going to hit on anybody, and now you've got the Solar Crest out on the Night Stalker. Nobody goes down. Nobody from either side just yet. They try to throw another arrow right into the Darkseer, who tries to TP away. That should be a kill, at least one, as well as Klink's getting a second one on the Night Stalker up top, and the rest of the team will be able to TP out. Maybe not the fight either team was looking for, but it does end up being 2 kills for Midas Club Elite.
Yeah, it was a bit messy there because Midas Club, they wanted to go for that gank, but as soon as SG Esports took the high ground.
Yeah, mid, they're going to look for this lone druid, just gets away.
You never really want to smoke into a high ground you don't have vision of there, and the Night Stalker was pretty much, I think he was anticipating the smoke gank, so he's sitting there scouting it out, so Midas Club definitely didn't get the initiation that they were looking for, but it still worked out for them.
With those 2 kills and forcing that lone druid back, they'll head their way over to Roche, get this Aegis. Now you've got Aegis on the Klinks, and he is also 1 piece away from having that BKB. So despite SG Esports having the lead pretty much this entire game, to me, it kind of seems like Midas Club are kind of controlling the pace of this game right now.
Yep, and it's kind of bizarre too, right? Because they're up 7 kills, but they're slightly behind on net worth, and part of that is because the Lena's keeping up on net worth, and Midas Club's cores don't naturally farm quickly until they have a lot of items.
So, take a look over bottom, and actually Lena shows up with the Klinks nearby. Got 2 heroes in the back end, both the Disruptor and the Night Stalker, if they were to go on this Lena. And with 5 heroes coming in from Midas Club, they might just do so.
Lone Druid took that opportunity, seeing the Klink's bottom, to take that tier 1 top.
Looking for a good Chronosphere. Night Stalker backs up for just a moment. They've got the Blink Dagger now on the Lena. And we'll look through these trees looking for the Disruptor. See if he spots him. Just has to go down. Goes up and Chronosphere.
What on earth?
And the arrow comes in from Mirana. They do get the kill. So it's just the Disruptor for a Chronosphere. Almost
That's
silver
pretty,
there.
Do you think he saw him, or did he just know someone was there?
I think maybe he felt that someone was there and went for the guess, but the silver linings of that, for at least the SG Esports, is Chronosphere's down. I'll take that for a Disruptor death.
Yep.
Night Stalker and Lena are trying to set up. They do have that new Blink Dagger on the Lena. Laguna Blade comes out, but there's the Moonlight Shadow. Not going to hit that stun. Instead, Night Stalker hit with the boat, and they're still trying to chase this Klinks. They know a Sentry Ward's down. They are going to get the dust out on him. Mirana might be in a little bit of trouble. She's getting quite low with the Disruptor here, and the Lena hitting away. That's going to be at least 1 going the way of SG Esports. They got to watch out, and there's the Vacuum. They'll find a second in this Kunkka. So 2 kills for them on the retreat once this Kunkka finally dies.
So I remember mentioning that Dire didn't have a lot of stuns on their team, and it looks like Lena actually picked up a Blink just to make sure that her stun's more useful, or I guess better placed in fights, and I think it kind of worked out there. She used the Blink to chase the Mirana twice and was able to acquire that kill, and pretty much because Dire piled their heroes into that fight first, so they had the advantage, especially with Chronosphere down.
Disruptor, that's just not a good place to be. You know there's a Klinks on the other team, and you get 3 shot by him.
Oh.
Easy kill goes their way. Now there's the lone druid in his face. Savage Roar to push him back. But Clink's just showing the damage output he has, and he's got that full BKB now. Actually gets right past them. They look for the X. It's going to be taken out on the Lina. They've got the boat hit on too, as well as the Chain Frost. A nice turn of events there for the team of Midas Club Elite. And they'll take out both the Night Stalker and the Lina.
I think this might be a really good opportunity for Midas Club to look for a good Chronosphere here. The Lina's coming up because of her Bloodstone charges, so... I'm just thinking if Midas Club go for an extra pickoff here, they might actually be able to get the Barracks.
Now they're going to look at this tier 2. They take it down quite quickly there with the ult and the Searing Arrows combined from this Clinks. BKB down for 45 seconds on cooldown. Don't think he really needed to use it there in that last fight, but just making sure he ends up with 2 kills for his team. So they still have that Aegis. I'm not too sure on the timing, though.
Believe...
should be pretty close. They vacuum him back, and they're really looking to take out the Clinks, but they're not even going to find it.
They're trying to bring down Radiant's top tower.
They do pick up a double damage bottom, though. This Clinks has been pretty aggressive. We'll see if he goes for something crazy here.
Yeah,
He walks into the scan, so the enemy team knows he's there.
Skeleton walk to go across this lane, but there's Aegis gone, so I don't know how aggressive he really wants to be without that second life. It is the smoke coming out from SG Esports. They've got the Lina Disruptor and Night Stalker coming over towards bottom, but Moonlight Shadow to counter that with 4 heroes here and Darkness. They might just walk into the hands of Midas Club Elite. And there's the Sentry. They spot out this Clinks. BKB is going to be popped. I think he's just buying time for the rest of his team. They've got the Static Storm that's going to hit on the Faceless Void, but he's going to walk right on through it. So he does BKB, buys himself enough time for his team to come through, and they don't even use Chronosphere or anything of the sort. Just a BKB for the Clinks, and they get themselves a kill.
Bit of an interesting gank from Diana there. Disruptor really ganked himself, pretty much. Walked into a BKB Clinks. Life is sad.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, Lone Druid hasn't really been with the team. He's just been pushing. And he's got that top tier 2 down.
I think that's the way to do it this game. You really can't always fight directly. Like, they don't have the stuns to lock down this Clinks, so pretty much the Clinks is going to be hitting targets freely this game, and if I think Lone Druid needs like his...
Arrow's gonna miss, Torrent's gonna miss, Chain Frost thrown his way, Mirana getting very close to killed off, but Void will clean up the Lina beforehand.
Lone Druid pretty much needs the Assault Cuirass to be able to fight this game. Otherwise his bear's just getting at like 5 shot.
Night Stalker setting up nearby. Got the Sentry Ward there, and the rest of the team is starting to follow it up. It is nighttime, so Hunter and the Knight into a possible silence. Maybe a kill goes their way. Chronosphere is going to come out on 2, and now they've got these Searing Arrows chunking through this dire squad. They've got Darkseer X back, killed off, as well as the Disruptor. They'll take out 2. And Midas Club, another fight going their way.
Get the bear.
X on the bear. We'll take that right back. Looking for that gold. Savage Roar, but Arms is there. He'll get himself
easy 300 gold for the Lich. Or, I think the Lich got it. Not 100% sure.
I think maybe Arms got it. And oh boy, Lina in a lot of trouble. Solar Crest, Savage Roar possibly coming out from the bear to try and keep the Lina away, but 2 misses come out on the uphill. Lina will survive, so 21-8, and still not a hefty lead for the side of Midas Club, but it's looking like their first lead of the day. Arms will clean up the Ancients. They'll continue to put pressure on this team and probably wait for the next Roche.
This Lena's gonna move around the map and farm crazy fast because she has the Light Strike array talent. She's got a Blink. She's got a Yules for extra move speed and mana regen. I think most of all, the Blink Yules is to help give his team a little bit of an extra catch mechanic.
They're smoked up. They've got Lena leading the charge. Let's see if they could catch anybody out here.
Midas Club are positioned pretty well. Like 2 of their heroes are just chilling in the secret shop area.
They're so close to this tier 2. That's a rough fight for SG Esports to want to take.
Yeah, SG Esports, they have this ward on the left side of the map that definitely did spot out the Kunkka Lich and Klings, but I don't think they want to fight into that. Especially if you don't see the Void. I think their priority in these fights is to either burst down the Void or burst down the Klings before those 2 heroes get to do anything. But it's really hard because there's a ton of counter initiation from Midas Club in the form of Chain Frost, Ghost Ship, Chronosphere. And you have to deal with this Frost Armor as well.
Let's see, SG Esports, they're setting up by Roche, but it doesn't look like they're going to attempt to take it. Maybe they're expecting Midas Club to come around and look to take it themselves. So they come over, Moonlight Shadow, they're under Sentry Ward vision. But no Observer Ward to spot that out too. It's just the Lich over here near top with the Lone Druid pushing top once again. And he's got himself closer to that AC, but still, I'd say a couple minutes away. And Midas Club, they're looking to be aggressive. They want to get a pick off or 2, looking to get themselves a Roche after that. And that arrow, not going to find a home, but pushes back the rest of SG Esports.
Yep, and they do. Midas Club do take that ward on the Spire that was there, so starting to reclaim some of the vision in this area, especially when it comes time to doing Roche.
So Lena and Lone Druid are going to push bottom. You've got a double damage here on the Clinks. And it looks like he's just going to go into Roche by himself, knowing that Lena and Lone Druid are bottom.
Yep. We have Greaves on this Kunkka. He's doing well.
Yeah, a bit behind the Darkseer, but still for position for Kunkka with those Guardian Greaves. He's looking all right. And they're looking for a big vacuum into a Static Storm and the wall. BKB going to be popped by both the Faceless Void and the Clinks. They're going to try and chase down a couple of these heroes. His Lich is already down. Solarcrest comes out on the Disruptor. They'll 2-shot him. We take a look at the back of this fight as the boat's going to come through and the Night Stalker's going to try and chase this Kunkka. He's got the Silence and the Slow out, but hasn't caught him just yet. Guardian Greaves up in 3 seconds, so if he can continue to run, he should be all right. There's the Void, there's the Guardian Greaves, and he will get himself away, but you take a look over bottom. Lena going to be taken out by the Clinks. Meanwhile, Marana also taken out in that fight.
Yep. The big thing though is SG Esports, they got 2 of the barracks at bottom, so that actually puts them in a position to win this game still, despite losing so much, or losing Roshan.
Yeah, they give up the Aegis, but wow, I didn't even realize until you said something. Bottom lax, both of them gone.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I guess the interesting thing to note is that SG Esports, they're 5k net worth ahead, and they definitely have the split push advantage, as in both the Lone Druid and the Lena can clear out waves effectively and safely, but Midas Club, in order for their lamp to function, the Clinks wants to look for kills, and it's like only the Marana that's going to be pushing out waves. The Void wants to be off the map as possible, and so SG Esports, if they play around this, they might not have to take any fights for the rest of the game.
Meanwhile, Clinks is coming over to the Lone Druid. Radiant's burning him away, but nothing too crazy just yet. He's still continuing to follow the Lone Druid and finally does back off when the rest of his team starts coming in on this tier 3 over mid.
Yep, you can see the 2 cores on SG Esports. They're just opting to push out waves instead of actually defending mid.
going to get that fortification out, and now Klink's going to start to hit away at this mid-tier 3. He's going to wipe it away pretty quickly, and I think they want to even it up in terms of racks, but now Lena is back nearby, and they are going to look to defend. Dust it up. There's the vacuum over. Laguna Blade's going to come out of the Klinks. Again, he still has that Aegis. And this seems to me what Midas Club needs to do to at least try and not lose this game. They've got the Glimpse coming back. BKB's going to be popped. The Static Storm's laid down. Chronosphere's going to come out on 2. They're going to look towards these racks, but now Klink turns his attention towards the 2 in the Chronosphere. They'll take out the Disruptor. Chain Frost is there. They'll take out another one in the Darkseer. And now they have to look to get out. Lena trying to pop this Aegis of the Klinks, but not even going to get that just yet. Light Strike Array hits, and there it is. Now he comes back alive, might be in a little bit of trouble. Solar Crest comes out on the Klinks. He's going to try and run away, as meanwhile they're going in on the Lone Druid over top, trying to chase him down. Let's take a look over there, as Lone Druid will end up falling. We'll look back over at this Klink, silenced again. He's still dusted up, but still alive. And there's Moonlight Shadow, as well as the Cheese. Does this qualify as space? Just continuing to take these 2 heroes for a while.
It really does, because the rest of his team is catching up again.
And they're starting to come back over. They still have him under the Sentry Ward. Light Strike Array will finally hit. He will probably drop, and does. But now you've got the Arrow and the Night Stalker, but no follow-up from the rest of the team without this Klinks for 75 seconds.
So I think the really important thing to note that fight was, after we watched this Lich die,
which gets destroyed by this,
is that the Lone Druid almost killed Radiant's Throne.
Yeah, it took both tier 4s. All that whole fight
Got that Ancient to half, and I think SG Esports' plan there was to have the Lone Druid hit the throne while Dire caused as much chaos on the map as possible, and they almost did it. But unfortunately, 2 of them got caught in Chrono, and they weren't able to continue chasing.
They can still go for this. Lone Druid back up. Did he buy Boots of Travel? No. Thought maybe he'd just TP in. Any BKBs here that they could just hit away at the tower?
Huh. This game feels weird because they're SG Sports are always ahead in net worth, but they don't have the kind of heroes to help fight these team fights. So they're pretty much just stuck going for quick skirmishes or just chaotic fights.
Seems like any time that Midas Club looks successful in a fight, at least in the last 10 minutes or so, they've paid a huge amount for it. In one fight, they lost their bottom racks and their bottom tier 3. In that last fight, they lost their tier 4s and half the health on their Ancient. You know, it looks like they're winning, but all of a sudden, you take a look at the damage that's come through, and, you know, that was not a trade win for them.
I think if the game keeps progressing like this, there's going to be 2 key turning points for Radiant. One of them is the Klink's getting his Hex, so now he can get kills on his own. And the other one is the Void getting farmed enough that he can solo kill people in his Chronosphere. He's getting there, but I think Klink's has to be a little bit more scared than he was in the previous 20 minutes of the game, because now there's a Shivas on the Lina, so this Lina's not 100% burstable anymore. And this Lone Druid has an AC and a Vlad, so he's really controlling the armor this game.
He did put that Mask of Madness on the bear, that's how he's just shredding these towers. Klink's coming over on the Night Stalker. There's a Sentry Ward nearby, as well as the gem on the Night Stalker. So they really need to be careful. Lose that Klink's one more time, and he has buyback, but it wouldn't be pretty.
Yep. I think this mid-racks that Midas got was huge for them, because now that's one less lane to worry about. I think one of their problems with Radiant's lineup is just their ability to push out lanes compared to the Dire team. And, you know, you don't want the Void to be the one that pushes out lanes, because if your Void's missing or showing on the map, then the enemy team's not scared of him, or he can go for pickoffs. Like, You can see Dire was trying to set up for one there.
Might be able to take out this bear. Nice 300 gold goes the way of the Marana. And how long are you without that bear? Let's take a look. Actually, I think he just summoned a new bear. So, no time at all. They're still trying to defend heavily. They've been forced in this weird corralled situation. And every time they've left their base to try and get a couple of kills, they've lost a huge chunk of their own. And I don't think they feel comfortable going too far out, knowing that they could just be killed off without, Lone Druid being involved in those fights.
Yep.
So actually all 5 set up here for the side of the Dire. Smoke on any of them? Yes, they have a smoke.
I think for now they're anticipating us. SG Esports is anticipating a smoke from the enemy team, and they do have this gem on the Night Stalker to scout out this Clinks if they find him. But I think he's on the wrong side of the map, and the Disruptor looks like
food for this Clinks.
Yeah. Here we go.
We're gonna try and TP out. That's going to be a huge no from the Clinks, Lich, and Kunkka as they find him out in the trees, kill him off, and dead for 40 seconds, no buyback.
Esports are okay though, because the two Silings are pushed in like crazy right now, and oh, it looks like another dead bear.
Yeah, bear
possibly
is, dead again. Marana, 300 more gold. And no bear for another 25 seconds, so buying a little bit more time.
Oh. So what, at least, I think from the top of my head, at least 4 bear kills so far, so 1,200 gold from just bear slays alone. This Darkseer has a Lotus Orb now, so that Hex is slightly less effective, depending on who Clinks uses it on. And so, one problem.
Sorry about that, what were you saying? Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I think Radiant's gonna go for Roshan here.
I feel like it's the one thing they can do, but they gotta take it quickly because Lone Druid, again, pushing creeps towards this bottom lane. Is Aegis even really enough to make them feel safe around the map?
Well, talk about that moment because it looks like there's a team fight.
Yeah, they're gonna try and come in. They've got themselves the vacuum into the wall. As well as the boat coming through. That's going to come out on both the Night Stalker as well as the Darkseer, but nobody dead off yet. They've got the BKB used by the Marana. They're going to try and chase down this Night Stalker. They've got the X, so he should be dead, but the silence comes out, and now there's the man to purge it. Hunter in the night to get him over the cliff, still alive, and they've actually taken out the Lich, who ended up picking up that Aegis. Chainfrost is going to be thrown out. He'll be killed off, so that's 1 in favor of SG Esports. And it will only be a 1-0, but the Aegis forced to be picked up by the Lich, and he ends up going down and losing it anyway.
Yep, that puts SG Esports in a really good position. And to answer the question you asked, the Aegis does help because, the Clinks is like... the Clinks is normally not scared of dying, but like... If he has 2 lives, then it makes them actually able to push. So what they would do is they would get bottom lane really pushed out, and then they would maybe push, Radiant would maybe push mid and hope to use the 2 lives of the Clinks to maybe take another set of racks or just win the game. But without that, they have to be stuck playing this reactionary style where they're pushing out the bottom lane and they're making sure they're not getting picked off.
And Clinks, he might be in a little bit of trouble. The team trying to set up around him. They've got the Night Stalker here with the gem. BKB forced out just to get back to the base. And
they might be able to go in
5 seconds. They've got Chronosphere coming out on 2. Clinks is going to be caught in the Chronosphere. They're going to try and take out this Disruptor. They get the bash. They'll try and get the kill. Ghost Scepter keeps him alive for now with the Static Storm being placed on both of these heroes. And Clinks, he no longer has that BKB. So he's locked up for just a moment. And they will take out that Disruptor. But you take a look. The bear is starting to chip away at this tier 3 over mid.
Yep, both tier 3s for Radiant under half health. We have the Lina also chipping the top one. Looks like the Lina is actually going to get caught here.
Yeah, Clinks here with the Hex. Solar Crest is used. She's only down to about half health, so Clinks still needs to watch out with Guna Blade available. And Clinks is He's going to be pushed back and healed up with the Guardian Greaves, but they don't end up getting that Lina.
Yep. His team was a little bit behind to help follow up on that Lina, but at least nothing's lost.
Let's see, Chronosphere back up in 50 seconds. A lot of time for SG Sports.
I guess I didn't talk about that fight that happened bottom, so I think one of the problems that happened there was there were those three heroes, Night Stalker, Disruptor, and Darkseer, and they were trying to catch the Lina, but they really didn't have any damage between those three heroes, so even if they did catch her, I feel like that fight was going to turn bad no matter what, especially with the Lone Druid and the Lina split pushing other parts of the map.
Casually throwing this boat out towards the creep wave every 40 seconds or so.
Yeah. Lina's just about done her data list, so starting to get towards 6 slotted. So, Lone Druid also has Aghanim's, which means that his bear can hit stuff without the actual hero around, which means he's going to be hacking away at the jungle while his bear's split pushing.
Jeez, a split push coming out from SG Esports. Just seems like way too much for Midas Club to handle.
Yep, especially when you have the vision control from Darkseer. Or, sorry, from Night Stalker, you know. It makes it really hard for Radiant to put up wards, which means that they can't really go for pickoffs all the time, and also you feel like in general fighting into a Night Stalker is really tough. But as I say that, there's an X.
X looking for the arrow, but Yule's going to be used. Still going to get hit by that arrow, and now Lina might be in a little bit of trouble. The Solar Crest comes out. She's going to try and run away, so she's got that extra armor from the Solar Crest, but still looks to be in a bit of trouble and finally denies herself. You take a look over the Disruptor, and meanwhile over mid as this bear just shreds away these racks.
Double damage.
God, he's just taking away all the buildings that are on the side of Midas Club. There's not really much they can do about it, and as I say that, they take out the bear, but that's a set of racks down mid. All for
what on earth?
Lina.
That Rax died in like 2 hits. More than that, but
double
that was
damage
crazy.
And Mask of Madness, just bear hits hard.
Yeah, Bear's got a BKB now too, so so with that BKB, it actually means that they can just walk the bear in and maybe take the Rax. And there's a Chronosphere mid on the Night Stalker,
so
followed up by an arrow,
and they will get the kill. But and Gem is there. That
so
puts
Midas Club
down for a while.
Yeah, it's Chronosphere's down. Midas Club down by 2 racks, which means they have to be really proactive looking for kills. Like, they can't let SG Esports be in a position to hit this top racks, because if they do, then SG Esports will most certainly take that racks in like 10 seconds flat. And
does SG Esports even still need to go for that racks with the BKB on the spare bear? Just send the bear there, hit the H, and
yeah, really, they can just send it in. So I'm pretty sure Midas Club have to make a couple of pickoffs happen in the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Midas Club, they have moved over mid. They're showing the Mirana as well as the Void. You got to think that the Clinks is always around. And they're going to try
all the lanes are relatively
racks.
pushed out.
Yeah, they're going to try and clean up the racks. They will do it. Force out the Glyph as they start to hit for these tier 4s. And remember, if you're watching, Ancient is exposed on their end. And there's the bear. He's making his way down through that bottom lane. So they don't have the bear, but let's see how both teams really attack this. Going in for this fight, the Laguna Blade's going to be used. They're immediately going to take out this Faceless Void. BKB is going to be popped as the wall is put down. It's a BKB by the bear, and he's looking to take out this Mirana. Moonlight Shadow's going to be forced out, and now let's see if they can make anything happen on the other end, going for the retreat of the Dire. BKB's used around the horn. There's the root on the Lich getting very low. The bear finally hit by the Torrent, but again, Clink's in a lot of trouble. He might drop. BKB forced out, and he is going to fall, so he's dead for 90 seconds. And there's the Chronosphere that Void is going to be glimpsed back into. He's got the Lina locked up, but he's going to be killed off by Lone Druid, so they lose both of those big-time cores, and they both don't have buyback.
Yep. I think that was the right idea by Midas Club. They had all the lanes pushed up, so it was a good time for them to push. Unfortunately, I feel like after the glyph was used by Dire, they maybe should have backed up and reset because they were basically just waiting to get initiated on. And you know, their lineup really succeeds when the Void gets to Chronosphere, one of the enemy cores, and that never really happened. And there was a dieback from the Void, so we're not going to see him for another 80 seconds.
BKB going to be used by the Mirana. They've got the boat as well as the Torrent. Lina getting very low and killed off. As buyback will immediately use it. You've got Clinks coming back up in 35 seconds. If these Radiant heroes can survive, the Chain Frost is going to be thrown forward, but there's a lot of creeps to mitigate this damage. They've got the Laguna Blade that'll hit on the Mirana, and now she'll be killed off and forced to buy back. Now there's the Bear hitting away at the Ancient. They take out the Lich down for 90 seconds. Is there anything they can really do? The answer to that question is no, and they'll just call GG.
Oh. It's like it feels like SG Esports played their lineup really well, you know. They probably knew that they didn't have the advantage in team fights, but they definitely had the advantage in split pushing, and they had the advantage in vision because of the Night Stalker, and they played those two elements really well, managed to totally outfarm Midas Club and really take this game.
Yeah, SG Sports played it perfectly, just like you said, and they go on to a 1-0 record. Midas Club, good performance, just, you know, SG Esports played it a little bit better, played it perfectly, and they'll be going down to an 0-1 record in this group stage. We'll be back with the next game in just a moment. I'm your caster, Bcop, at Bcop92 on Twitter, and I'm joined here by Franz, who is at HelloFranz on Twitter. We'll be right back in just a moment. Stay right there for the next game coming up.